So we are approaching the conclusion of our conference, and I guess many of us, we still have the 10th anniversary of the World Trade Center tragedy in our minds. Those pictures of the World Trade Center are with us, and this last Sunday we were able to see, and the entire world was able to see, the tears of the children who lost their mothers and fathers in the 9/11 attacks. Unfortunately, the world was never allowed to see the tears of the children who lost their fathers in the Katyn forest and their mothers in the wilderness of Siberia or deserts of Kazakhstan. The children of the Polish officers murdered in Katyn, Kharkov, Kaliningrad, and other locations throughout the Soviet Union are in their golden age right now. This is the very last moment for the world community to take the meaningful steps towards accountability, atonement, and closure with respect to one of the greatest crimes of World War II that is not even fully disclosed to this day. We have the moral obligation to act once the children of the Katyn officers are still with us. These children are the Katyn victims themselves. We owe it to the secretly murdered officers in the distant forest. We owe it to their descendants, and we owe it to the next generations. We should also undertake all efforts to preserve the voice of the children of the Katyn officers so that their story can be told to the entire world. It is therefore most appropriate to conclude this conference today with the message from the son of the Polish officer held in the Starobielsk prisoner of war camp, murdered in Kharkov and buried in the Piaty forest. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce Wesley Adamczyk.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As the son of the Katyn victim, I would like first to express my deepest gratitude to all the individuals who have invited me to participate in the Katyn Symposium held at Case Western Reserve University in February of this year, and in today's session on Capitol Hill in Washington. In particular, I would like to thank Professor Michael Sharp, the director of Frederick Cox International Law Center at Case Western Reserve University of Law, Maria Schonert, the president of Libra Institute, and Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, who made today's conference possible. In June of 1998, nearly 6 decades after searching for my father's burial site, my my American-born son and I finally had an opportunity to pay respects to my father and to nearly 3,900 other Polish officers who were murdered by the Soviet NKVD in spring of 1940 at Katyhatki Cemetery in today's Ukraine. Upon leaving the cemetery, I asked my son to look back at hundreds of Polish flags rising from the mass graves. Then I appealed to him to never to forget the grinding of the bones and the planting of the trees over the graves of the, excuse me, my eyes are slightly misty now, and I have a hard time reading. I know it by heart, but I decided to read it. Let me read it again. Then I pleaded to him never to forget that the grinding of the bones and planting of the trees over the graves to prevent the truth from emerging never worked. The truth did come out through the roots of the trees, and I was the witness to it. But may I add, which I didn't write before, partial truth, only where they were murdered, where they were buried, but this is not my objective of being, I devoted my entire 15 years of retirement to search for the truth. Not only retirement, but 70 years old. I was in Siberia when the search began. I think I will do better speaking from memory than reading this. Sorry. Although the suppression of truth concerning all aspects of the Katyn crime has been referred to as an international cover-up, the term does not reveal the nature and its origin. Shortly after WW2 ended, the Big Four met in London to establish the procedures for the upcoming trials of major war criminals at the International Military Tribunal in Nuremberg. It was decided that the Soviets would handle the indictment and prosecution of the Katyn crime, even though the Western Allies knew that all the arrows pointed to Soviet guilt. The decision allowed the Soviets to charge the Germans for the Katyn crime, and eventually the case was dropped altogether for lack of evidence. A conspiracy of silence was born during the London meeting and continued throughout the Nuremberg trials to shield the Soviets from being charged with the Katyn crime. The Western Allies may have won the war against the Nazi Germany, but justice for the victims of Katyn was never sought or achieved. Today, standing on the floor of the United States Congress, I hope and pray that all of the documents concerning the Katyn crime will be disclosed and that the truth will be fully revealed, not only to uphold the universal principles of justice for which we as Americans stand, but also to honor the victims of the Katyn crime, the Polish people, and the Polish nation. Thank you.